welcome back to the It's Beyond Me podcast. It's your girl, Driv Nasty.
Freddie T.
And we're going to be talking about a topic today that's been going on for a while about transgender athletes.
Should transgender athletes be allowed to compete in women's sports?
Yes, 100%.
Your answer is no.
That's right.
Okay. And what do you think?
I say no also.
I personally say no.
It's a no.
While some might argue that transgender people should have the right to compete in sports with other women, I frankly disagree with it because, there are a lot of videos out there that show that a transgender man, a transgender woman, a man who's been turned into a female, who's gone through puberty most of their life as a man, has
different physical characteristics that are that of a man.
Interestingly, studies show that before puberty, naturally, boys and girls have very similar athletic abilities. There's not a huge difference. This is most likely why it's common to see co-ed sport leagues for young kids, like a soccer league, for example. But all of this changes when males gain a large biological advantage in terms of athletic abilities during puberty. Males experience a massive increase in a hormone called testosterone.
During male puberty, testosterone drives the development of bigger muscles with more fast-twitching fibers.
During puberty, males have a 20-fold increase in testosterone levels. This is on average 15 times higher than testosterone levels in females. Now, and testosterone also, behind the scenes, give many athletic advantages throughout the entire body. Things regulated include bone mass, fat distribution, muscle masses, and red blood cell concentrations, which carry oxygen throughout the body. Attributes like larger skeletal structures, larger muscles, increased cardiovascular and respiratory functions, as well as higher power to weight ratios gives cisgender males more natural athletic ability.
And they have a physical advantage.
Yeah.
Even though their testosterone is lower now, they still have a longer arm length, more strength, more muscle fibers.
Their bone density is that of a man. It's just different anatomy altogether. So that's two different playing fields. It makes it unfair for the women. I mean, even if you're a trans and you have the build of a man, you could compete with men. So why not be in the men's sports? Fight for your right to be in the men's sports. Why do you have to totally intrude on a woman's sport?
My thing is, you've seen a bunch of trans women fighting to play in women's sports, but you only see maybe one or two trans men fighting to be in men's sports. That just tells you that it's a lot more difficult. I see it and I look at it and I say, I understand, everybody's fighting for their rights, but this is getting ridiculous now. Because when you take that swimmer that dominated the ladies' college swimming, right? People forget that he was ranked 145. Low, hella low.
On the men's team. And that should tell you something.
All of a sudden, when he changes and starts taking hormones and is supposedly identifying as a female now and competes against females, all of a sudden he's number one. What are we trying to teach women? Are we just trying to put biologically born women down constantly?
That's what it feels like, by the way, to be a biological woman myself. I am a woman, and that's what it feels like. It feels like I don't only have to compete with, it used to be the complaint of, but now we got to fight against men because it's a man's world. Now we got to fight transgenders, men who want to be women as well. It's just like a never-ending cycle.
Sports are supposed to be a level playing field where you are competing against other people of the same gender, biologically and physically. Now, the problem that's there is these guys were, and when I say guys, I don't mean men or female. I just mean these, I'll put it straight up. These quote unquote females are biologically males. They were born as males. They grew up as males. They only started taking hormones after they hit puberty. So their strength, their speed is way more than what a female would have. And no matter how much hormones they take now, no matter what they claim they are now, how is that fair?
How is this progress for women?
This table shows the magnitude of physiological differences between untrained or moderately trained males, with females as the reference value. So on average, males have 45% more lean body mass, 33% more lower muscle mass, and 40% more upper body muscle mass. Men naturally have more muscle strength, longer bone lengths, like in your arms and legs, 83% more force in their tendons, and as we briefly mentioned earlier, increased respiratory and lung functions, as well as enhanced cardiac functions. So whether you're an Olympic track star or you're someone who's learning basketball for the first time, once puberty comes, males generally innately have a natural biological advantage. That's not to say that there are not incredible female athletes. There absolutely are. An elite female athlete can definitely outperform most non-elite male athletes. But when we compare males to females in similar calibers, so non-elite arenas and elite arenas, males naturally and on average, not always, outperform females because of biological differences, which is why males and females typically compete in separate sporting events. Males just naturally have an athletic advantage based on their development, and this is really why by the time of middle school, like 11 years old, typically we see sports go off into separate genders, as I said. That is simply the cold hard truth, so that they're equal playing grounds for people in their respected sport. And then when do boys typically start playing American football, where you use a lot of force and muscle and strength? Typically around the age that puberty starts.
And while we're doing all this talking about how the kids who are taking hormones after puberty and all of that, okay, I also want to point out that any child shouldn't be taking hormones to become the opposite sex. They just changed the law from 18 to 21 to be able to buy cigarettes. But you're going to tell me a single-digit age child can dictate whether he or she wants to become the opposite sex, a life-changing thing. No child should be taking hormones, and if they only have the option after puberty, I personally believe that they should be well grown, like the 21 that you gotta be to buy cigarettes and alcohol to decide on if you want to have a gender change. You should never be allowed to, as a man, to be able to play with women, and vice versa, because the women are going to get hurt. You might think you're big and burly, but it ain't going to happen. That's like the bodybuilders, right? You got men and women bodybuilders. Those women are exceptionally strong, but they ain't got nothing on the man bodybuilders. It just is what it is. So I just wanted to throw that tidbit in there because Lord knows that you got to be specific nowadays. Stop tormenting your children and totally screwing up their whole lives with putting decisions on them that they shouldn't have to make as children.
You have to ask yourself, is that fair? It's not transphobic to stand back and ask yourself, is this fair to cisgender women? Because it's important to be allies of both transgender people as well as women who compete and train their whole lives to make it to such a high prestigious level, and then to lose your college record, to lose gold medals, to lose recognition, sponsorships, or just not get first place. That can be very disheartening to people.
First, you say you want to wake up in the morning and call yourself women, so you want to get the same rights as women. Then you say, what do women bring to the table besides making kids? And now you got, they're talking about artificial wombs, so now you're taking that away from women. And then now you're saying you want to compete against women and just keep on pushing them down. How is that fighting for women's rights? I don't understand it. I look at it like...
It's not fighting for women's rights.
I look at it like,
it's not
honestly,
fighting for transgender rights. Honestly, it's just totally imposing on that.
As a result, the rest of us have lost over 85 opportunities to qualify for higher levels of competition, losing scholarship opportunities, titles, and wider recognition. Now, for the first time in nearly 50 years, they are tilting the playing field against women. That's not progress, and that's not fairness.
Completely ignoring what's going on is almost cisgender female athlete phobic. You're almost stripping away the rights of cisgender female athletes who have trained with a completely different hormonal and biological experience growing up. Now, you can disagree, but science doesn't lie. I think the biggest thing is we have to speak about this in a kind manner. When we attack people, that makes people resistant. If we stood back and looked at these hard facts and evidence, and we maybe questioned What kind of solutions can we make to make everything a little bit more fair? That's my opinion. A lot of people suggest maybe we could make a large transgender female league of sports where there are specific competitions that have all transgender females. That's one suggestion. There are many different options.
And to answer it, there is a conspiracy going on about the gay agenda. I'm sorry to break it to you folks. It's true. And with that comes the fact of the universities, the colleges have been told that the only way for them to get government funding is if the playing field is even across the board for men and women. And when I say that, that means that the sports and everything have to come together to where there's no difference between men's and women's. Yeah. So, and you can't say that that's not conspiracy, because why all of a sudden did it change what the funding would be for colleges?
Yep.
The government says that it all has to be the same. Women have to be able to play men's have to be able to play women.
We won't start with the medical companies. We all know why they're into it. They're into anything that will give them money. At the end of the day, gender reassignment surgeries are a lifelong process. Once you get it done, there's maintenance that has to be done in it.
Same thing with these BBLs and all of this, which, I mean, if you're a man, your booty's going to be a little flatter most of the time, and you're going to have to get a BBL and all this stuff. You have to keep up with those things long term if you want to keep them. If you want whatever reconsignment stuff to work and function properly, you have to keep going back to the doctor. It's a big monopoly to get your money. I don't understand why it's so hard for anybody to understand this stuff.
That's a really good question. Now that makes me think about it twice. So, yeah. I'm not sure about my answer now.
Why do you guys say no, if you don't mind me asking?
Because genetically, I think they're superior.
In sports, if you're born a woman, you're genetically and physiologically
Inferior to a man's genes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Negative.
Why do you say that?
Because a man's a man, a woman's a woman, man. There's different bodies and all that. Everybody knows a man's stronger than a woman. You mean, how's that fair?
If it's a woman comes from male, or male comes from woman, should be able to do both.
And the reason why we're talking about this, Florence Joyner, do you know who that is? FloJo, world record holder for the 100-meter dash for women. And her world record wouldn't even qualify her for the 2020 men's Olympic, competition. So people are saying women can't compete with the biological advantages of a male. What do you think about that?
Well, I think if it's equal opportunity. It's just equal opportunity. If you're gonna do transgender, you got to go both ways.
Is it equal opportunity for the biological women that are in that sport?
I think it's equal opportunity for women that became male, or women that become male. That's my answer.
But what about the biological women that are competing with biological males? Is it equal opportunity for the biological women that are having to compete against them?
Well, maybe it just ups the game.
Maybe it does. Train a little bit harder?
Yeah.